I guess the question that naturally arises is for an applicant, when do they know, how do they know whether they should seek accommodations or not? Because it seems to me that sometimes some of these criteria are a little bit hazy. A lot of people have difficulty focusing, especially on something as boring as the LSAT. And so, how do you know whether your issues might warrant extra time?
Well, that's a good question. So, the student themselves is not going to be able to know before they meet with the professional whether or not they meet criteria for having a quote unquote disability that would require an accommodation. Some people might know if they've had a history and they've already been tested before. Let's say when they were a kid, they were evaluated and they've been already receiving accommodations. If that's the case, then they might already know that fact. But testing also has to be done within a 5 year time span. So I see a lot of people who have that history. They need to be evaluated again because the testing is old. Now, for the category of people that think that they might have something going on, but they're not sure, these are people that are going to notice things in not only when they're taking a sample LSAT, but they're going to notice things in their daily life too. So for someone who, let's say it's an ADHD kind of an issue, that's not going to be something that's arising just when the LSAT rolls around. That's going to be a person that's had these types of issues focusing for, basically their whole life. And let's take the issue of a learning disability. That too is going to be something where a person has experienced difficulty with, let's say, efficiency while reading, being able to read quickly enough while also understanding the information. They're going to notice that they've had a history of that. The issue around, let's say, a mental disorder like an anxiety disorder or a depressive disorder, these are issues that actually could come up more recently because a person doesn't need to have a history of those symptoms dating back their whole life. Sometimes a person has a traumatic incident that happens. Sometimes they develop anxiety or depression after, a bad relationship or something has happened in their lives that stimulates that. So, usually if you're anxious or depressed, you know that you're feeling that way, but you really need the evaluation to determine not only whether you have the diagnosis, but whether your symptoms hinder you substantially enough in order to require an accommodation. So meeting with a professional, someone who does what I do, is necessary in order to make that final call.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.